My name is Irene Ross, and this is my story. I have two grandchildren, ages 13 and 11. My son passed away July 11th of 2023. I was at a point in my life where, I was ready to go. I'll be 75 years old in October, and there just wasn't anything left for me to do. I'd raised children, I'd raised other grandchildren, and on March the 18th, Child Protective Services called me about 7 o'clock in the evening and asked me if I could take my grandchildren into custody. I said, of course, yes, and they brought them. And I've had them since March the 18th. The house that they lived in was not in good shape. It was rat infested, had snakes in the house. After my son passed, it was just a shell of nothing. The Crisis Network had contacted me through my church, Pax Fellowship, and said in context that they would come out and help me get rid of the house after a friend of mine had taken it down for the wood. And he'd taken everything he could, but it was a big pile of mess over there. So they came and put up 3 big dumpsters in my yard, brought a skid loader. There was like 6 or 7 guys. They cleaned it up and took every single bit away.
At the time, I was in a men's group and just going over the gospel, being in community with men. We're sitting there with our hot coffee in the AC room and a pastry, and some deep conviction just comes across a bunch of us, and we're like, man, we need to be doing more for this community. We live here, we're raising our kids here. We need to get up and do something. So I reached out to Kevin Nauman, and he right away was like, yeah, I got plenty of things. Here's a list, take your pick. And the case that we're talking about now came up, and it just felt right, and the time was right, and the need was right. And we just sent a text out, and man, all kinds of men jumped in. We're like, let's go, what do we need? Gloves, shovels, whatever. And that's how we started. And then we reached out to Minuteman Rentals in Burnett, and he donated a skid steer, had a grapple bucket right away ready for us. J-Bar donated a dumpster, and we got to work the next day. It was that Friday. I think 10 to 12 men showed up, and we knocked that whole project out in a day, and the CPS case could move on, and the inspection and all that stuff could happen.
The room that my granddaughter is occupying as her bedroom used to be a classroom because we used to do homeschool. And then I turned it into like a craft room. Well, we cleaned it all out and found out that the roof was leaking on one side. I had also mentioned that to members of the church and the Crisis Network. They had came out and tried to fix it a couple of times. It's still leaking, so they're on their way out again in a few days to restructure the whole roof again. There again, it's just the Crisis Network is on the ball, and they're helping me out, and I wouldn't have even known of any resources if it wasn't for them and in conjunction with the Pax Fellowship Church.
The Lord has been a part of this project from the very beginning. He had his hand in it. We were able to jump into this project and to support this family in a very special way. God not only was able to help her through not only our efforts and us becoming the hands and feet of Jesus in their community, but also through other organizations and other churches that have rallied together to be able to support this family in a very, very special way. Every time we turned around, there was another need, but immediately God was able to respond to that need in a very special way, greater than we had ever even anticipated.
God works in my life on a daily basis, and he has given me Crisis Network in several different avenues, from the dental assistance that they give you. We've been there. and talk to people there. The warehouse where you can go and get clothes or furniture and stuff. They supplied the kids with a bed and clothes and stuff after they came here because they didn't have very much. So all of that combined is not by accident. It is by God's grace. And if you have God in your heart, He's going to work miracles in your life. It's not by accident. It's by prayer. And I think Crisis Network has helped me establish a better relationship with God. And, when you feel like you're floundering, you have to look for Him for help, and He will send it.